Two guys in their early 50s with one dream: to achieve middle-aged sporting glory. This is the Missing Links Golf Show. Yes, welcome back to the MCG. It's 2 for 22 in the Missing Links Golf Show. Andy Walker joining me in the commentary box. Good evening to you, Andy Walker.
Yes, got him. Yes.
That's gold. I was listening to the previous episode earlier today with your desire to hear a bit of Tony Gregg, Bill Laurie, and Richie Beno in the commentary box. So there you go. Anyway, listeners from Australia, I hope that made sense. Listeners from the rest of the world, best of luck deciphering that one.
Yes. If anyone hasn't listened to it was the
It was the 12th man, Billy
the 12th
Birmingham.
man. I was going to say the third man, wasn't third. The 12th man was
12th man, Billy Birmingham.
the one
outstanding.
Billy Birmingham, absolute genius comedian. So
And let me just say, a lot of his jokes have not stood the test of time.
No.
For acceptable content in this day and age.
Yes.
Anyway.
There's a couple like that that haven't quite stood the test of time when it comes to appropriateness.
But anyway, a bit of lightheartedness to start the episode, which threatens to be a deep one tonight, Andy Walker, because a bit of men's health to talk about.
Yeah. Well, I've had some challenges as we all know with my wrist. So there's going to be a wrist update, but then there's been an unexpected turn, which has provided
Intrigue.
a little bit of motivation in one respect, but a little bit of concern in the other. So again, we'll cover the wrist first, and then we'll get on to the and probably a more serious health update.
That does sound somewhat intriguing, unputdownable, perhaps.
Yes, definitely thought-provoking.
Without a doubt. But before we get into the seriousness, we do have to talk about another very, very serious topic, Andy Walker, which I think all the Pilgrims will agree is a particularly serious topic, and that is the results.
Is that the premier golf competition in the world that we're talking about?
It is.
Okay.
Forget the race for the FedEx Cup. Forget the DP World Tour.
Race to Dubai.
Forget about the Live Golf Race to Mediocrity. This is, ladies and gentlemen, the Missing Links Golf Show Yearly Championship. I'm not sure where we are racing to, but we'll have to come up with something at some point for that one.
Well, I do know that at some point I've got to start playing golf again to actually get into the race, because my results have been talking about mediocre. I think my results have been well below mediocre over the past few months.
Definitely underwhelming, that's for sure. Just let me have a look. How many points are you on in the championship at the moment?
Don't have to count that many. None.
Yeah, you can count them on.
No hands.
Let's not go there. Yeah. So we did have a crackerjack month in July. There was quite a few entries that came through, which is exciting. And yeah, we've certainly seen some results come through. I'd say that much.
Nice.
Quite impressive, actually. So shall we get into it? Shall we go through the top 6 point scorers?
Yeah, let's crack on.
We're not going to read everyone's entry, so if I don't read your name out, unfortunately, that means that you have missed out on the top 6 places, which probably comes as no surprise when you hear the scores. So we had a count back, Andy Walker, between 5th and 6th, both on 33 points.
33 points again. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So like I said,
no wonder I'm on 0.
Yeah. So on countback, falling into 6th place, scoring 1 point, and I'm happy to see doubling his yearly championship tally for a total of 2 points for the year, which is Andy Walker, my rudimentary math skills will tell me that's 2 points more than what you've got, is Alex from Dubbo of New South Wales.
Well
Way to
done,
go.
Alex. Good work.
Super work. So pipping him into fifth place and scoring 2 points towards his yearly championship tally, which actually sees him drop a spot on the leaderboard. Just shows you how competitive it
Wow.
is.
So you get points and you actually drop a spot on the leaderboard.
Yeah, that's what's happened in this
That's tough.
particular
That is
case.
tough.
Yeah, and that is Benny from Dubbo, also from Dubbo. Way to go, Benny.
Uh, the only
Yeah,
walker with points, I believe.
the other Walker, not the only Walker with points.
Oh yeah, yeah. Actually, yeah, there is another walker with points. Yeah, I missed.
There's only one Walker without points.
That is true.
Should disclose this as well for all the rest of the Pilgrims. Not all of the Walkers in the yearly championship are actually related. So it's just one of those surnames. A number of people have it. So fourth place. Fourth place with 34 points sneaks him 3 points to his yearly championship tally, and that is the other Walker, Ted from Mollymook.
Yeah, good one, Ted.
Well done. 34 points. It's solid.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah. I reckon he's probably gone close to breaking his age at 34 points.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't be far off, actually. That's a good point. Way to
Yeah,
go.
yeah. I reckon. I think Ted's playing off 10 or 11. So
That's handy.
if he's playing off 10, well, that's equal his
Should be on.
age.
Mm,
11, it's one more.
mm. It's pretty good.
Mm. I'd be happy at his age to be playing at least around my age and be regularly breaking it.
You'd be happy at your age to be playing golf.
Be happy at my age to be playing golf.
Let's be honest.
Let's face it.
Let's set some achievable targets.
Mm.
So coming in third place, a podium finish in the month of July with 36 Stableford points. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard all about it in the last episode. So thank you very much, Andy Walker. That's another 5 points to my yearly tally, which
Well
is
done, Miss
exciting.
Hanks.
Thank you.
So where,
Appreciate
where does
that.
that put you? Like what position?
Where am I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In seventh.
Seventh.
Yeah.
That is competitive.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Coming seventh in my own competition.
What am I coming again?
You're a bit below that.
Yeah.
You'll be outside the top 10, I would say,
Mm.
comfortably. Equal last, I think, is another way of
Mm.
describing it.
Yep.
Actually, yeah, no, you are. Yeah. Sorry. So we get to the top two. In second place with 38 Stableford points. Wow. Is Lucas Anderson, our very good friend from South Australia, not Western Australia.
Now was that at his home club or was that at
Uh,
Mr. Anderson's
I think that
uh,
was his home club. I would have
home
to
club?
check, but I think it
Yep.
was. I'm pretty sure it was. Good round of golf, though. Solid golf.
Yeah. Yeah,
He's
yeah,
playing
for sure.
well.
38
Playing
points.
really well. Yeah. And in fairness, across the last 3 months, he's gone 38, 36, 38 for his submitted scores in the Missing Links
Mm.
Golf Show Yearly
I
Championship. So
think the
that's pretty good
handicap
golf.
is going to be having a bit of a word.
You'd think so, right? You would absolutely think so. But speaking of handicappers having a word, get a load of this. In first place, taking out the month and extending his lead, as a matter of fact, in the yearly championship with 42 Stableford points.
Wow.
Big K, Big Kerrod.
Wow. He's on a roll at the moment, Big K.
Let me run you through his last 3 months. So July 42, June 42, May 43. And if we go back, April 37.
Wow. On fire.
He has been significantly chopped. I can
Mm.
tell you he's now
And still
down at
scoring
11.
42 points.
Yeah, and probably will
That's
do it
good
again in
golf.
August. I'd say
Mm.
there's every chance. big fella is in red hot form at the moment, which is excellent. So that means that the table is as follows. Big K is in first place on 45 points in total. We've then got James Armstrong from the United Kingdom or England. He's on 34 points. So look,
That's it.
he's only a win out of it, really.
Mm.
Lucas, who we just talked about, is on 22 points in third. And then it's a bit of a log jam. You've got Benny and Ted, the two walkers, on 19 and 16. Donnie from Bathurst on 15. Myself on 13. And then we dribble out into very low numbers that are bringing up the tail end of the field. So there's a lot going on. I think Big K's going to be hard to beat, though, to be perfectly
Yeah.
honest.
Well, we'll bring in that sort of form, especially if he continues into the back half of the year. It's going to be very
Yeah.
difficult to beat.
I mean,
So
I
he,
don't
he
want to.
might get the yearly double.
He could. I mean, I don't want to jinx the guy or anything, but I mean, he's almost won it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, if he doesn't win it from here, I mean,
He's got no one
you've
else
got
to blame.
well, and you've got to think like Greg Norman, 96 Masters,
Yeah, true.
Rory
Rory
McIlroy
McIlroy,
on the like
take your
last
pick.
nine. It's well, yeah, take your pick. I was going to say back nine at the Masters, but
Yeah, you could
yeah,
go
I mean, just take
Pinehurst
your
as
pick.
well if you wanted to.
Mm.
Um, yeah,
Yeah. So
um,
no pressure at all. Big K.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Which and I know Big K will be listening. He's a big fan of the show. Anyway, so there you go. That's the yearly championship. So get your
Mm.
scores in, Pilgrims. And if
Yep.
you're listening, it's not too late to join. What is exciting, we have had a submission for a card in August already from a new entrant in the yearly championship. We've got Tony from the US
Nice.
who's joined us, and he, let me tell you, he's put in a red hot entry in the month
Yeah.
of
Right.
August. So
Okay.
starting with a bang, and
Yep.
just goes to show it's not too late. If you join now and you score a point, you'll be in front of Andy Walker.
That is true.
So if that's not motivation, I don't know what is. Um, so there you go. That's the yearly championship for the month. Great work. Keep it up.
Yeah. Well done.
Mm. So moving on to less serious topics.
Mm. Yes. Yes. Well, let's start with the wrist. Okay, sure, because the wrist has been a bit of a ongoing issue for the last few months.
It really
And
has.
as we've talked about, I did have an X-ray and an ultrasound
Mm.
in April, and that didn't come back with anything significant. Um, I thought it was getting better, and did have a round of golf in June. Not a great round of golf, but still had a round of golf in June. And as we spoke about a couple of weeks back, my trip down to Mollymook wasn't the most successful when it comes to playing golf. I played nine down at Beachside with which hitting off the matting, and then
Was
up
it
at
sore during that round?
it was a little bit. But if you remember my comp round in June. It started to get a bit sore, sort of on the back nine. There was a shot on 10 that I hit my drive into the fairway bunker, and then I hit my shot out of the fairway bunker a little bit skinny,
Mm.
and it jarred my wrist, and it started to feel a bit sore after that. That was sort of the first time I'd felt it. It was good for the first sort of 10 and a half holes. So I had some concerns in the back of my mind, but I wasn't overly concerned. And certainly, when I'm taking the clubs down to Mollymook, I thought, yeah, I'll be good. It's just, I expected this. I was a little bit, even last year when I was coming back from the rib cartilage injury, I was a little bit tender when I came back. So it wasn't something that I was overly concerned about. I thought, oh yeah, it's just, I'll get past it. But as we know, that didn't happen, and I had to pull out after 10 holes playing the Hilltop course at Mollymook. So when we spoke about it a week or so ago, you recommended that I should go back to the doctor and get an MRI because the MRI is obviously a lot more comprehensive than a X-ray and ultrasound. So I did that. I went back to see the doctor, got myself an MRI, and had the MRI the next day. Now, the results of the MRI, and I'm gonna read this verbatim, and I'll sort of explain what it is after it.
All right, strap
What it
yourselves in,
says,
Pilgrim. There's a bit of technical medical jargon coming your
yeah,
way.
what it says is at the distal radio ulnar joint, there is moderate osteoarthritis with full thickness chondral loss at the distal ulna and mild chondral loss at the adjacent radius.
Now, I don't think that sounds great.
No, no. So if you think about your forearm, right? You've got the ulna, which is the bone that's running down the outside, so from your pinky sort of down the outside of your forearm,
Mhm.
and your the radius is the one on the inside of your arm. So the distal radio ulnar joint is actually on top. So if you put your hand over, it's actually at the top of your of the wrist, and it's sort of a bit of a plate that sits there on top of the joint. So that basically means I've got moderate osteoarthritis and full thickness chondral loss. That's basically a cartilage. So I virtually it's virtually bone on bone in
Not
that
great.
joint. So that's not ideal.
No.
Now it says and mild chondral loss at the adjacent radius. So if you turn your hand over, and it's basically from the base of your thumb, down that sort of the top of your forearm. That's your radius, and that radial joint in there. That's where I've got mild chondral loss or a
But that's
mild
where you've
loss of
been
cartilage.
feeling it, isn't it?
That's where I've been feeling it. Yeah, I can actually feel it at the top. It has been a little bit sore up there, but certainly it's that at that radius joint that I've been feeling the pain. So basically, yeah, osteoarthritis with cartilage loss and it's bone on bone. That's the results of the MRI. So not ideal.
No, it's crap.
Now, the doctor that I have been seeing has recommended that I go and see an orthopedic surgeon who specializes in wrist injuries. I haven't done that yet. I may still do it. I haven't made a definite decision on whether I'm going to or not. And the reason why I'm not quite sure is I've come across some information that I think potentially could be quite useful. Now, this is my folks owned, as you know, owned a health food store for 23 years. So I've always sort of been inclined, like natural therapies inclined, and I do take a reasonable amount of supplementation, and always have done. I've taken glucosamine and chondroitin for quite a few years, probably not regularly enough and in sufficient quantities to make a significant difference, and certainly not to treat something like this. However, there's a new joint mobility ingredient called UC type 2 collagen. Now, it's actually derived from chicken sternum cartilage, right? So it's a I know it sounds a bit weird, doesn't it? And
Yes.
I'm not gonna go through the technical side of it. I've read a little bit about it, but I'm still digesting it. This is only fairly new information for me,
You're still
right?
digesting the chicken sternum.
Still digesting the chicken sternum cartilage.
Okay.
Um, so what UC type 2 collagen does, it works through the immune system to reduce inflammation and repair cartilage to damaged joints. And apparently in double-blind clinical trials. Now, double-blind clinical trials is where both the researcher and the participant don't actually know what they're giving and prescribing and taking. So it could be a placebo, could be the actual active ingredient that they've got in the clinical trial. So both the double blind is the researcher and the participant don't actually know what they're prescribing. And there's been some really great results in these double blind clinical trials. So what it takes, it sort of to get any reasonable results takes 2 to 3 months, but potentially sort of 6 months or more So it's a sort of it's a medium to longer term solution. But basically, what it's shown is this UC type 2 collagen has the ability to repair joints and or joint cartilage to gain a fair bit of mobility.
Do you appreciate the irony in our
I do.
lives with this?
I know exactly what you're going to say, and I do.
That it could be chickens that are saving you here?
Yeah.
Do
Yes.
we need to explain this?
Yeah, I think we do. I think we do because it's and I knew this was going to come up as soon as I started doing the research and I realized it
Oh,
was coming from like it's chicken sternum cartilage. I,
this is
I
so
I
good.
actually was laughing when I was reading it.
I can't believe we've got to this we've got to this point. Oh, pilgrims, this is unplanned, okay, but let's take you back. I don't know, Andy Walker, probably 10 years or so.
Oh, it's got
Um,
to be more than that.
15
Yeah.
could be 20. I don't
Yeah.
know. A long time ago, when we were working together back in the Rocks in Sydney with a couple of other of our very good mates, and would regularly go for lunch. And the topic of conversation turned to the world's chicken population. Um,
Now let's set the scene. This is at like dinners that we like group dinners that we had after several bottles of red wine. So you can
yeah,
imagine,
okay, that's fair.
yeah, you can imagine
That's
the
fair.
conversation that's going on here.
Yeah. So yeah, discussion centered around the world's chicken population and an attempt to estimate how many chickens are consumed worldwide on a daily basis. And we split this into chickens and what we referred to as potential chickens, i.e., eggs.
Mm,
Uh, and the number was excruciatingly
mm,
high, which also then posed the question of what would happen if the world's population stopped consuming chickens even for a couple of days. And the general consensus is that we would be, in fact, overrun by chicken
mm.
across the globe. So it was our civic duty as global citizens to continue to consume chickens and eggs just to protect the world's human population from a potential overrun of chickens. Now, that's a
Mm.
pretty brief synopsis on
Yeah,
where the conversation's got to. I
yeah.
don't know if you want to add to that, Andy Walker, but
No, no. I think that probably summarizes it quite well. And let's just leave it there because that is not a tangent that I think we should be going on.
no, it's
We
not.
we are we are
But
we are on a golf show after all.
but we did not realize the power of chicken sternum cartilage at that
Mm.
point, and that's just absolutely blown me away. So please continue, and I hope that there's a future in this. This is gold.
Well, I'm doing my part in my
Apparently,
recovery of my wrist with the chicken population.
wow.
Um, but that's pretty much it from the perspective. That's it. I'm just going to see how this goes over the coming sort of couple of weeks and couple of months, just to see if there's any improvement. I am trying a different uh, lotion putting on my wrist. It's a magnesium based lotion,
Not
so I
a
was
not a
using the.
chicken derivative of any sort.
It's not a chicken derivative, unfortunately.
It's a shame.
I've talked about the physio cream that I thought was quite good. Well, this magnesium is actually I'm finding to be better and being quite helpful to a point where I've started doing short game and putting work back in the high performance center.
That's exciting.
So yeah, and I am actually without hitting a ball, I'm actually doing some swing work, like positional swing work, without any pain. So there's been over the past couple of weeks, there's been a positive improvement, and hopefully that will continue so that in the medium term, I'm not going to need to have any form of surgery. Of course, the doctor, did talk and he said that he wasn't an expert in any way, shape, or form, but he knows that, in these sorts of injuries, sometimes they, fuse joints together and all sorts of stuff. And I just went, that's not going to be good for my golf game.
No, I just don't think we want
No.
to do that.
So if
No.
you think about, say, Tiger and the back surgeries that he's had and the enormous issues that he's faced, while I'm not comparing myself from to Tiger, but that's, when you start fusing joints together,
No, it's a last
it's not
resort.
great. Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
last
it's not
resort,
great.
especially the
So
wrist.
yeah, so I want to give it every opportunity to heal in other ways.
Mm.
We'll see how we go over the next, month or two, and if I do need to, if I feel as though I need to, I'll go and see the wrist specialist. But yeah, at this stage, it's just more of a we'll see how this approach works, and given the results and the information that I've read, I think that there's a potential that this could be a solution.
I hope so.
Yeah. So that's step one. So that was the not great news.
No, it's not good news. I mean, I don't I don't really know what we were hoping to hear, to be honest. Like
Mm.
maybe that there'd been a ligament injury or something like that, which was repairable.
Well, that's
But
that's what I initially thought. I thought it was either ligaments or tendons or something in between the joints that was the issue. I certainly didn't expect the no cartilage bone against bone.
no, and I don't know if I'm jumping the gun here, but was there any kind of explanation or theories given as to the cause of it, or is it just
No,
something that happens? Is it just a
no,
genetic issue?
no,
And
and it's potentially like degenerative, and
yeah,
I mean I've been playing golf for a very long time, and that's part of it. I think that hitting off the mat with not a lot of cushioning has probably not helped. I think lifestyle choices over the last 18 months, 2 years also haven't helped.
mm,
So there's a lot of there's a lot of contributing factors, I think, to get to the point where we're at now.
mm, yeah, not ideal.
No, no. So yeah, that was sort of the first part of the health update. Now I do have a bit more of a serious update, which I wasn't expecting. I have to admit, and this was in conjunction with doing the X-rays and the ultrasound in April. I also got some blood tests done,
Mm,
and as a bloke, I just didn't go back to the doctor to find out what the results were.
fair enough.
And a couple of weeks ago, when I went to see the doctor to get the MRI referral, he said to me, "Oh, we've got these blood test results, which you haven't come back to see me for." And I'm going, "Oh, yeah, okay, well, what are they?" So they show a pretty elevated level of cholesterol, which isn't great. I sort of half expected that because lifestyle choices haven't been that good in recent times. But what I requested, and this is something that is not done as part of a normal set of blood tests, and it's something that I've become aware of over recent years because it's a hereditary genetic condition, and that is a high level of what's called lipoprotein little a.
Mm,
Now, lipoprotein little a, as I said, it's not something that's regularly tested. You've got to request to have the test, and it's just a blood test. Now, it's a form of LDL cholesterol. All right, so it's sort of considered the bad cholesterol as such, but it's something that I read that about 20% of the population have an elevated level of lipoprotein little a, and it's something that you can't really do too much about. Like cholesterol, you can. It's lifestyle choices and exercise. Lipoprotein little a is pretty much constant all through your life. However, even people with a normal or low level of cholesterol still have a fairly significant risk of developing cardiovascular disease. And I think it's something like 3 to 4 times the risk of cardiovascular disease, even with a healthy level of cholesterol. And given that my cholesterol is quite high, that puts me in an even higher risk. So it's sort of given me a bit of a kick up
this
the
is not
bum,
good.
to
This is
to,
not
to be
particularly
honest with
good
you.
news.
No, it's not. And we've talked about over the last 18 months, my lifestyle has just blown out, especially over the last 6 months. I came back from Mollymook at 97.9 kilos, which is the heaviest I've ever been. What I would call my fighting weight is down around sort of 80 kilos. I did get down to about 78, 79 about 20 years ago, but I was super fit at that stage. And over the last 10 to 15 years, I've been somewhere between 85 to 90, which is still a little bit overweight, but not too bad. But that's sort of just blown out to 97.9. So it's given me a bit of a, yeah, kick up the rear end, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's something I wasn't expecting. I was aware, of course, my dad has a high level of lipoprotein little a. I know my brother does as well. But given my genetics is more from my mum's side, it wasn't something I'd really ever considered, even though, I'm 50%, from my
Mm.
dad's side. Um, so yeah, a little bit of a shock. I guess the good things is, and 3 years ago I had and again it's another test which isn't sort of part of a usual test, but I had my calcium score done, and I had a calcium score of 0, which is really, really good. So basically, calcium in my arteries non-existent. I also did an echo stress test, and the results of the echo stress test was really, really good. In fact, the guy who was performing the test had to tell me to stop and get off, because otherwise I would have sort of kept going. But I was a lot fitter 3 years ago than what I am now. So, but again, calcium score is one that doesn't change a lot. So I don't expect that to be sort of that different to what it was 3 years ago, if any, if different at all to what it was.
Well, sobering news.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, what my plan is from here, I've got a appointment on the 19th of August to see another doctor. So this doctor is a doctor that I saw probably 8 years ago. When I was having I was diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis. I had some excruciating pain in my joints. And rather than going on the medication that was recommended at the time by a rheumatologist, I went to see this doctor. She practices functional medicine, or integrative medicine. So that means that they're actually a qualified doctor. So they've been through and got their medical degree, but they've also studied the natural therapies as well, and they combine the two, which I think is a really good sort of place to operate from. So I went to see her probably 8 years ago when I was having some issues with my joints, and she put me on a really, really, really strict diet. Told me it would take 12 months to sort out the joint pain, which was pretty much on the day. 12 months later, I didn't have any joint pain, and I was taking prescription medication, joint pain relief at that point. So I was in a pretty bad way at the
Mm.
time. So she really helped me through that process. Haven't seen her since 2018, but yeah, I've made another appointment to go and see her. She's not your GP that you go and see all the time. I mean, it's for the initial consultation, it's about $400, so it's not a cheap
Yeah.
exercise. But she also spends about an hour or so with you, and just develops a full long-term plan. So that's sort of the next step of my journey. In that, I've got the next 12 months is pretty key, in that I've put together a bit of a plan, and it's not necessarily a weight loss plan as such. It's more of a lifestyle plan. I've got back into doing 4 strength and conditioning sessions a week, and moving to a plant-based diet. Now, that's not being a vegetarian or vegan. I'll always, I believe in moderation.
We've got to keep the
For
chicken numbers down anyway. So,
Yeah, and chicken and fish. I'm not a massive fan of red meat. I've had digestive issues in the past as well, so I don't, generally speaking, eat a lot of red meat in the first place. But chicken and fish, I do quite enjoy chicken and fish. But eggs, unfortunately, eggs sort of go out the window with
ah,
cholesterol.
yeah, that's a
Mm.
shame.
So yeah, there's going to be a fair bit of change, but as much as I have some concerns, and it's something that has been unexpected at this point in my life. I think that it's manageable, and there are some positives there as well. I think that the fact that I've looked after myself for most of my life, and I've gone through periods where I've been really, really fit and healthy, and I mean, it's life's a bit of a roller coaster, as you know. There's up times and there's down times, and I now need to take some time just to refocus back on me to get me right. Because I want to be around for a while, but B, I'd also like that to include golf.
As would we all.
Mm,
Um, yeah, I mean, it's a pretty confronting tale, to be honest, Andy Walker,
mm,
because you're not exactly a. I know you've got a couple of extra kilos on at the moment from where you want to be, but that's not an unusual thing for blokes of our age.
no,
And you're definitely not the sort of person that you would see walking down the street and say, "Hey, that guy's in bad shape," and
no.
you know, and is an illness waiting to occur. So I think
Mm,
even if for those of us, even when you think that you're relatively fit and in pretty good shape for your age, it's a very much a wake up call of have a look under the hood and sort of see what's going on because
mm.
if it wasn't for the wrist injury, you might not even know half of this stuff.
I would not have gone back to the doctor to get the blood tests. I
Yeah,
guarantee would not have gone back. So it's been a stroke of luck in a lot of ways that I've re-injured my wrist to go back to see the doctor to get the results of the blood test.
it's crazy.
Because I wouldn't I was just like, yeah, I should be right. A lot of blokes are like that. I'll be good. I'm not that unhealthy. I'll just start eating healthy again and do a bit of exercise, and everything will be all right. But and you hear all the time that these not just guys, girls as well. They just at a fairly young age sort of keel over with a heart attack or something like that, and people go, oh yeah, but they were so healthy. They worked out, or they looked
Mm,
healthy. But until you actually go and get some metrics and some data, and we talk about that with your golf game.
mm,
Until you get your own metrics and your own data, you don't know.
you don't know. No, you don't. And I guess, you draw the parallels to looking at golf improvement, but I suppose as well on this is, and as you say, it's not just a weight loss journey, it's a lifestyle and a bit of a broader self improvement journey to go on. And maybe, a bit like your handicap or your scores, the weight's just the outcome. That's not really what you're looking at. It's about the process
Mm,
and the things that you need to
exactly.
do.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
it's becoming a different person to what I have been over the last 18 months, and I know that, and the Pilgrims know I've been doing some work with Paul Salter, and that's what he talks about as well, in that in order to get a different result, you have to do something different and become a different person to the person that was getting the first result. So I've been aware of that for a while. It's just that this has given me some motivation to get out there and actually take some action.
It does. I think that can sound pretty confronting for people to go, oh, I need to be a different person. That means I need to change everything. And that means, I've got to throw it all away. And I don't think that's the intended message. I think,
No, no.
really a lot of these changes can be fairly small and they don't need to be enormous, but it's probably, it's probably linked to that concept of you might overestimate what you can achieve in a short amount of time, but if you extend that out over years and
Mm,
decades, then you'll
mm.
underestimate what you can achieve as the
Yeah,
the accumulation of small activities and small actions.
yeah,
Small
yeah. Well,
changes
that's
can have
that's
can
it's the
have
saying that
enormous.
most people overestimate what they can achieve in a year, but underestimate what they can achieve in a decade, right? It's
That's
that's
right.
that's
Yeah,
exactly
that's
what
right.
that is.
That's right. And I think that's the thing. It's you're not going to fix this in 3 weeks.
No,
You're
no,
not going
definitely
to turn
not.
that around in a short period of time. Just as you didn't create the situation in a short period of time.
Mm,
That's the culmination of a lot of small decisions, small actions, lack of actions, all of those. However you want to look at that. So it's a longer term shift to better health, which that takes a commitment. It's not necessarily an easy thing to do.
Yeah, yeah, and you're right. It is just a compounding of what's probably classified as habits that aren't ideal. Because a little bit before sort of COVID hit, we went for a family holiday over to Vietnam, and I was in great shape. Then I was down around that sort of 81, 82 kilos, and doing a lot of the right things, but then got back, and obviously being on holidays isn't conducive to a healthy lifestyle. So there was a little bit of overconsumption there, and then sort of since then, it's COVID hit, and there was a lot of restrictions around COVID, and then it then becomes habit, right? You,
Mm.
you start getting into bad habits, and they're just habits that just never change, and yeah, it's got to a stage where those habits need to change.
Yeah, and look, you're not alone, Andy Walker. So just sort of sharing the other side of the coin, like obviously of recent times, has been well documented on this show. I did turn 50 earlier in this year. And as a result of that, there's a few things that you need to do. One of those is, which we talked about previously, is the bowel cancer screening kit
Mm,
in this
yeah,
country, which is just such a,
fun task that is.
yeah, I'll get to that in a sec. But it's a fantastic program that
Mm,
the government runs,
yep.
to look after the health of everyone. That's not solely men, that's men and women. Um, but I did that. Fortunately, that came back fine. But the other thing, from my family perspective, you talk about the lipoprotein little a, the hereditary thing that's floating around in my family is prostate cancer.
Mm,
So that's something very much to keep an eye on. And at the moment, there's a blood test which is relatively simple to get your PSA score, and depending on what that comes
so
back
so
as,
you
you
don't
either
go to the doctor anymore, and
if
bit
you
of
can, if you want
finger.
to, you can. I mean, you should, certainly can if you want to. It depends how well you know your doctor. But the process
Do
now
you
is,
really want to? I mean, you can if you want to. I mean, who wants
I
to?
don't want to. Some people might be their thing. That's fine. I'm not judging. So yeah, you just a simple blood test. It's one of the the many things you would have had in your barrage of tests as well. Depending on what that score comes back at, the next step these days is actually an MRI. If that number comes back a little bit higher, then they can do a lot through the imaging testing. You don't necessarily need to have that dinner date with your doctor to get things intimately checked out. So anyway, quite happy that that came back fine, because that's always been something that's in the back of my mind, and I get that checked every few years anyway, just to make sure that we're on the right path there. But similarly to you, what's raised its head probably in about the last 5 years, and still floating around there, is a slightly higher cholesterol read. Mine's a little bit different though, because it's the good cholesterol that's bumped the whole number up, but bad cholesterol is still quite low. So it's not
Yep.
necessarily something to be concerned about at the moment, but definitely something to watch.
Mm, mm.
And then it's always worth keeping an eye on things like your liver enzymes and your kidney function tests. And kidneys are fine, everything else is fine. Liver enzymes were slightly elevated, and that's not unexpected because of having had a rather enjoyable few weekends in the lead up to doing the blood test. But it's, again, like, that's an indicator of, well, hang on a minute, you know, let's think about lifestyle choices, and let's actually,
Mm,
kind of look at things. Because the other thing with that is, in the overall scheme of things, my weight is also higher than where I want it to be, and diet and exercise will fix all of those other issues that were identified through the blood test process, as
yep.
well
Yep.
as blood pressure, whilst it's fine, is sort of just in the upper region of fine at the
Yep.
moment. So it's not a cause for concern, but it's a
Mm,
definitely something to keep an eye on. But I think, all of those things I would not have had a clue about had I not gone and had them checked. And there's so many dads that I talk to at school, and then other guys of a similar age through work and other connections, and we just don't do it because we're
mm,
busy, and who's got the time? And if you feel
yep.
okay, you're not going to go to the doctor.
Mm, mm, yeah, and that's it. I mean, I was only thinking about it a bit earlier when I was sort of thinking about what I was going to say tonight. In like I don't feel that much different to what I did when I was 30.
Yeah.
Like, I still feel strong. I still feel like I'm mobile, that I can do the same things as what I did sort of 20 odd years ago. However, there are these other things that have popped up that I sort of go, okay, well, there's a little bit more to this than just going, oh, yeah, she'll be right. And yeah, I don't want to be one of those stats that something untoward happens because, of something I don't know. So I'd prefer to know and do something about it. So this, where I'm at now, that needs to be a long-term plan, and that needs to be a something that I take into consideration for the remainder of my life. Now, I think I said that the next 12 months I'm going to be pretty strict, but I'm hopeful at some stage that I won't be as strict as what I'm going to be in the next 12 months. Now, that's purely just to get my risk factors down. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to go back to where I was, a couple of weeks ago. I mean, I've already lost, 4 kilos in the last 2 weeks, which is pretty phenomenal, and just shows
Awesome effort.
how heavy I was. However, you also don't want to, you know, not be able to enjoy life either. You don't want to be able to go to a social event and go, oh yeah, no, I can't have that because, of some reason. So you want to be able to still go out and enjoy yourself to a certain extent. But my philosophy will be when I'm at home in my home environment, that's the time to really knuckle down and make sure I'm doing the right thing so that socially I can maybe, let myself go a little bit. Eventually, as I said, not for the next 12 months, but eventually I'll get back to that point, which is sort of where I was. We talked about the psoriatic arthritis. That's what I
Mm.
did with the psoriatic arthritis. It was 12 months of just doing exactly what the functional medicine doctor said. It was to the letter. Um, and then I just started expanding the foods that I was eating.
Mm. I mean, I remember those days, and yeah, it was tough going for you there for sure
Mm,
during that process.
yeah,
But
yeah.
you can,
I,
you did
I
come
I
out the other
can
side of it, and
yeah
yeah,
yeah I can understand people who suffer long term pain.
yeah,
I can understand how mentally it just gets too much at times, because there were times where I would wake up at 5. So what ended up happening, I wasn't sleeping in my bed, I was sleeping on the couch because I didn't want to disturb my wife. And I was only sleeping for an hour and a half to 2 hours at a time before I had to get up and just rub I had the strongest Denka rub, and I'd rub that all over my joints, and the heat from the Denka rub would take away from the pain, so I could get back to sleep for another hour and a half to
you
two
must have
hours.
smelled good too.
I smelled great.
Yeah,
And there are a couple of times there, where I'd wake up at 5 a.m. and I'd burst into tears, and I didn't know why.
mm.
It was just such a mental drain, just, day after day of this. And even in the end, the prescription painkillers weren't really, they were just taking the edge off. They weren't really doing sort of too much. And at the time, it was just after my daughter was born, and I could barely sort of do up the seat sort of buckle in her baby seat. Like, I really struggled. Like, the strength in my hands had just gone. There was no golf at that stage either.
Mm.
But I got through it. I got through sort of, as I said, 12 months, and I was super strict and came out the other side. So it's time to have that same approach and do the same thing.
And I don't think by any stretch that you're alone. Like there'll be a lot of people out there. You just don't know what people are going through in their worlds when you run into them on a daily
100%.
basis. And
Mm,
I'm sure there's plenty of other people that, this is probably a conversation that we've needed to have, to be honest, Andy, because I'm sure there'll be other people that are out there that, will kind of connect with that and think, yep, I've been going through some stuff, and
mm,
it's been a challenge. Or I don't know what my health situation looks like, and you know what, maybe I should go get checked. And I would
mm.
absolutely suggest going, do whatever tests that are available to you depending on your risk profile and your age and
Mm.
family histories. But I think the message as well though is that so many people have got stuff going on, whatever that may be, and battle
Yeah.
certain things. And you're not alone. Like so much that we talk about during the Missing Links Golf Show, a lot of it is sharing experiences, so people realise that they're not the only people that are going through stuff like that. And it might be as simple and banal as having some putting yips, as it is to having a bit of a health crisis. But I'd like to think that through this show, there's a bit of a community of people that might be able to reach out together through, potentially through the Facebook page. And if there's stuff going on there or things that you want to chat about, that's a pretty
Yeah.
good place to reach out because there's a good bunch of like-minded people.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree. And while this show is based around golf, and we do share a lot of golf experiences, life isn't just about golf. I mean, golf is a pretty important
It's,
outlet.
it's most of it.
Um, well, what's the old saying that life's not golf's not a matter of life and death. It's far more important than that.
That's
I
right.
think it was Lee Trevino that said that. I don't know why one
Such
of
a good
those
quote. So
generational
good.
golfers said that. Um, but yeah, there are other things that come up around life, whether it be health, whether it be relationships, whether it be just your own relationship with yourself. There's a lot of stuff that can go on in life, and yeah, reach out to mates, to us, through the Facebook page, and we'll sort of do our best to point you in the right direction if that's what you need.
100%. I totally agree with all that. And I think, look, the backstory to this is going to become uh, a bit of its own sort of pilgrimage,
Mm,
towards better
yep.
health, not
Yeah.
just towards better golf. But if there are people out there that go, I've probably been thinking that I need to get on this path for a while, but I don't know where to start and I don't know what to do, and I don't have anyone to help motivate me or to help keep me accountable to certain things. Yeah, maybe there's a bit of a community that we can start to build around that, and
Mm,
start to share some stories about some of the things that need to be done and how to do it, how to go about it, and how to keep yourself motivated. So
yeah. Yeah. I
I think
agree.
that could be good if you
I
yeah
agree. But I think a really good base for anyone who doesn't know, get some health metrics on yourself. Like just go to whether it be your local GP or like I did, find someone in functional medicine, or whatever sort of your beliefs are, and the approach you want to take. Do some of your own research, and just get out there and do some metrics on yourself, and get those done, just so you have an understanding of what's going on in your own body, so you can then at least make some informed decisions.
100% could not agree more, Andy Walker. um that's been a pretty heavy topic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's been coming. We've had a couple of conversations in
Yeah,
the last week, 2 weeks about it. So I think it's something that's important and needs to be talked about, and needs to be talked about more, especially in the bloke sphere that we live life in.
yeah, yeah. How do you feel about getting it off your chest a little bit lighter?
Yeah, feel good, and I hope that there's some of the pilgrims are listening and are able to take some action of their own, and that's the whole point of being open and honest, and yeah, being a bit vulnerable, and yeah, but being that open book, happy to be that.
Amazing. um the other thing I'd throw in on top of that as well, Andy Walker, as golfers, we spend a lot of time in the sun, and if you haven't done it, get your skin checked.
Yes, yes. Every 12 months, I've got a skin specialist, and I've had a couple cut out
Yeah,
that they've been relatively innocuous, but yeah,
doesn't take long for that to change.
no,
So
no,
definitely get
no.
that checked. I had a good one zapped off my cheek earlier this year.
Mm,
That was that was all sorts of fun. Yeah,
mm,
it's right up there,
yes.
right up there with pooing on a stick, I've got to say.
That's fun.
Wow.
Now we're talking fun, pilgrims.
Not on a golf stick though. Don't ever do that.
Ah, that's funny.
There's there's a number of reasons why you shouldn't do that.
Yes, yes, I agree with that.
Yeah. So, wow. All right. Well,
On that note,
I don't know what else to say. Anyway, look after yourselves, pilgrims. That's the point.
Yep,
Get yourselves sorted. If you need some help with anything, we're here. There's a pretty good community of like-minded people that I think would absolutely be there to help at any given opportunity. So reach out, share your stories, look after yourselves, get fit, get healthy, and play better golf.
100%.
Wow. All right. Anything else that we need to share before we wrap up with that
I think there's
mantra?
just one more thing to do.
Tell me what it is.
Rock out, pilgrims.